Hello students, today we will study the chord rules for relational data model. Hello students, today we will discuss about chord rules. So basically there are 13 rules made by Edger F. Chord and they are named from numbered from 0 to 12. So basically there are 13 rules but we say 0 to 12. So he was a pioneer of relational model for database designed to define what is required from a database management system in order for it to be considered relational. That is a relational database management system, RDBMS. So why do we call it RDBMS? Because it is relational. It has tables, because database management system can be anything, but when we have specified this R, it means that it is relational, means it has tables. Relational database management system. So he has described these 13 rules for us to decide what kind of relational database should be standard. So this is rule 0. The system must qualify as relational, as a database, and as a management system. Means these three things should be different. First it should be relational, then it should be database, then it should be management system. For a system to qualify as a relational database management system, RDBMS, that system must use its relational facilities exclusively to manage the database. Then rule 1, the information rule. All information in the database is to be represented in one and only one way, namely by values in column positions within rows of tables. So this information rule states that all of the information in the database is to be represented in one and only one way, means the uniform way. Everywhere uh, it should be like uniform way, everything should be standard, namely by values in column positions within rows of the tables. So it should be like if there is some column name, suppose a phone number, then it should be written only one phone number in one column field, or in one tuple. We can increase column numbers, but in one field there should be only one number. Then comes rule 2, the guaranteed access rule. The data must be accessible. This rule is essentially a restatement of the fundamental requirement for primary keys. Fundamental of requirement for primary keys is that all data must be accessible, means it should be distinguished, it should be recognizable. It should be like when we are trying to access particular record having one particular ID, then it should be able to recognize particular record. It says that every individual scalar value in the database must be logically addressable by the specifying the name of the containing table, the name of the containing column, and the primary key value of the containing row. So every column or every detail should be accessible by applying these three details, that is table name, the column name, and primary key of the row. Then comes rule 3, systematic treatment of null values. The DBMS must allow each field to remain null or empty. Specifically, it must support a representation of missing information and inapplicable information that is systematic, distinct from all regular values, for example, distinct from 0 or any other number in the case of numeric values, and independent of data type. It is also implied that such representations must be manipulated by the DBMS in a systematic way. So this way, the DBMS must allow each field to remain null. So this is the systematic treatment of null values. The DBMS must allow each field to remain null, because if there is no value, the database system cannot work, and the DBMS should allow each field to remain null. But when it happens with the primary key, the case becomes different, because primary key cannot be null. Specifically, it must support a representation of missing information and inapplicable information. So what is to be done when the information is missing or inapplicable? So there should be a scope of skipping things when the data is not available. Otherwise, the whole record cannot be placed in the database system. Suppose if we have uh, 200 columns, and suppose we have 175 available with us and 25 column values or field values are not available with us for a particular tuple, particular record, then it should be, the database management system should be like that. It should take that tuple in spite of the fact that we don't have 25 values out of 200. Then comes next rule, active online catalog based on the relational model. The system must support an online inline relational catalog that is accessible to authorized users by means of their regular query language. That is, users must be able to access databases structure using the same query language that they use to access the databases data. So, the users must be able to access the database structure using the same query language. Means the query language should be uniformly used for accessing the database structure and the database data. Next rule is the comprehensive data sublanguage rule. The system must support at least one relational language that has a linear syntax, can be used both interactively and within application programs, supports data definition operations including view definition, data manipulation operations, update as well as retrieval, security and integrity constraints, and transaction management operations like begin, commit and rollback. Rule number 6 is that the view updating rule. All views that are theoretically updatable must be updatable by the system. So this thing is clear as it is. If it is theoretically updatable, it must be updatable in the system as well. Then comes the next rule. High level insert, update and delete. The system must support set at a time insert, update and delete operators. This means that data can be retrieved from a relational database in sets constructed of data from multiple rows and of multiple tables. This rule states that insert, update and delete operations should be supported for any retrievable set rather than just for a single row in a single table. So the main thing of this rule is, this rule states that insert, update and delete operations should be supported for any retrievable set rather than just for a single row. Then comes the next rule, physical data independence. Changes to the physical level must not require a change to an application based on the structure. Because if we are changing some particular thing in our table, so the whole structure needs to be changed. It actually happened in the hierarchical model. So this was very difficult to handle that, and that's why physical data independence is very important in the point of view. So for that, relational model is used, and that's why we are studying these tools. So it supports physical data independence. Then comes logical data independence. If we are changing to the logical levels like table, column, rows, and so on, it must not require a change to an application based on the structure. Logical data independence is more difficult to achieve than physical data independence. So basically the rule states that if there is some logical level changes, there should not be a need to change the application based on the structure. Then comes integrity independence. Integrity constraints must be specified separately from application program and stored in the catalog. It must be possible to change such constraints as and when appropriate without unnecessarily affecting existing applications. So, it must be specified separately. Integrity constraints should be specified separately from application programs. So, application programs which are stored in the catalog, they should be isolated, or they should be specified separately from the integrity constraints, and it must be possible to change such constraints as and when appropriate without unnecessarily affecting existing applications. So those application programs we have written already, there should not be a need to change anything in these application programs when there is a change in anything. We have to change constraints in the integrity constraint, whatever constraint we are applying. So we should not have to change the application programs. Next rule is distribution independence. The distribution of portions of the database to various locations should be invisible to users of the database. Existing applications should continue to operate successfully. When a distributed version of the DBMS is first introduced, and when existing distributed data are redistributed around the system. So, the distribution of portions of the database should be invisible to the users. So, some abstraction should be there, and only the thing which is required to the users, that only should be visible to the user. Then the next and last rule, rule 12, the non-subversion rule. If a system provides a low-level record at a time interface, then that interface cannot be used to subvert the system. For example, bypassing a relational security or integrity constraint. So this should not be become possible if the system provides a low level interface, then that interface cannot be used to subvert the system.